Welcome to week 2. Hopefully you all learned a lot from week 1 and module 1, working in the aviation industry there. You should have learned about the different professions and jobs there are in the aviation industry. As always, if you have any questions on any of those, please feel free to reach out and we can get you some more information. Remember, this class, we're just scratching the surface of a lot of these subjects. So if you want more information, you want to dive deeper into these subject matters, please let me know and I can start pointing you in the right way. So to recap module 1, we learned about different professions within the aviation industry, as well as the outlook of some of those professions, as well as the ethics in aviation. So we got to discuss a lot of those different topics throughout week 1. And then as we move into week 2, we'll get into the aerodynamics and the science of flight. So again, we have a very wide range of folks in this class, all the way from airline pilots to folks who've never stepped foot on an airplane. So we'll try to keep everything as relevant as possible, and there should be something in this for everybody. For the week 1 assignment, for the presentation assignment, I will get to those this week. I'll have those graded by the end of the week, and then I'll have feedback for those individually, and then a group feedback for all of you beginning of next week, so that as we move into week 3, when you have another presentation assignment, you should have some fresh feedback on week 1 presentation assignment. This week, we're going to be talking about aerodynamics and the science of flight. So as we get into the overview and the objectives, what we're going to be essentially, the objectives of this module are going to be to identify aerodynamic principles. So think lift, weight, thrust, drag, the very, very basics of that. We're going to be talking about the performance capabilities of aircraft based on design. So think of different ways of designing aircraft and why they are designed the way they are. And then we're going to talk about evaluating the impact of the operating environment on aircraft performance. So again, how an aircraft is designed. So straight wing, swept wing, variable geometry wing, and then how does that apply with the different, the purposes of those aircraft. So are they fighter type aircraft? Are they transport type aircraft? Are they training type aircraft? Etc. Then after you get through that first initial module, we'll get to my instructor's corner here. So here I talk briefly about a couple different aircraft. So I personally own a Cessna 150, love the airplane, love teaching in it, teaching my family how to fly in that. But it's a very, very simple aircraft, all the way to flying fighter aircraft. So in here I have a video that was shot a couple years ago, just showing you a couple of the different aerodynamic solutions that aircraft designers have come up with. So hopefully you all will find that very interesting. Here's the readings and resources for you all. So again, we're going to be back in the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. There's in chapter 3, there's the aircraft construction. So I want you to start learning about the different design types of aircraft. And then the next section will be a YouTube video, which is essentially his Embry-Riddle produced video on just the basic simple parts of an airplane. This YouTube channel, I believe, is called Special VFR. It is put out by Embry-Riddle. It's a fantastic launch point for you and a fantastic resource to learn more about aviation, and the private pilot students there at Riddle utilize this quite often. Then we're back in the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, again, chapters 4, 5, 10, and 11. So we're going to be talking about the principles of flight. So this gets into the lift, thrust, weight, drag, aerodynamics of flight, and different stability type subjects, weight and balance. So the weight and balance of an aircraft is critically important to make sure that everything's within balance of each other when they're flying. That way they don't tip forward or tip backwards, to put it very simplistically, or they're loaded overweight. And then we'll talk more about aircraft performance in chapter 11, so the different effects on aircraft performance. And finally, there's going to be another YouTube video that's, again, put out by Embry-Riddle, that's going to talk about the principles of flight there. I recommend probably a good launch point would be to watch the videos first. So I would watch the YouTube video, Parts of an Airplane from Riddle, before you read chapter 3, aircraft construction, because that video will help kind of give you a frame of reference on what you're looking for when you read those chapters, because the chapters can be lengthy, and I don't want you to get bogged down in them, but I want you to just understand what is in those chapters and how to find the information in there. And then before you get on to chapters 4, 5, 10, and 11, look at the principles of flight video on YouTube first. So watch that video completely, and then that'll help frame your questions as you start moving through chapters 4, 5, 10, and 11. And that's going to be your readings and resources for this week. Remember to cite from here if you need to. So in your blog discussion posts, you can cite from any of these resources, as well as your paper that you're going to be writing at the end of the week, which we'll talk more on here in just a minute. So great place to cite, great resources to cite from. And then also when I'm evaluating, if you understand the material or not, I'm expecting you to kind of reference some of this material as well, because this is what the core reading is for Module 2. After that, we'll move into a parts of a plane quiz. This is a non-graded quiz, but this will help you identify the parts of an aircraft. Again, some of you have a lot of aviation experience, so this should be very simple, and some of you have very minimal aviation experience, so this will just get you the basics of checking the parts and pieces of an aircraft. And then moving on to our blog discussion for the week, we're going to be talking about the operating environment and aircraft performance. So again, I'd like your initial post to be completed by Friday, and post replies to at least 2 of your classmates or 2 other posts by the end of the day on Sunday to keep the discussion going. As always, if you have questions on any of these topics, please feel free to reach out to me. Looks like Jason already started on that. For our writing assignment. So this is going to be your first writing assignment for this course, and for some of you, this is going to be your first time ever doing a writing assignment at a collegiate level course. So just a couple overviews here is, remember, we're going to be an APA style for this, and so for those of you who are not familiar, there's different writing styles that are out there. There's one called MLA, there's a whole bunch of acronyms for it, but the one that Embry-Riddle uses is APA, and that's also the only textbook that you were required to purchase for this class. So you can reference that textbook, but there's a plethora of other references there as well. So if you go Google APA formatting, there's a whole bunch of websites that are out there. Purdue OWL is one of them, and then another one is APA style. So if you Google APA style, APA actually has a website there, and I'll go ahead and put a link on this video to some of those references. But that's a great starting point to launch from. Speaking of which, let's talk about that writing assignment here just a little bit more. So here are the criterion objectives here. So these objectives right here are what I am going to be grading specifically towards. So please read those and make sure that you're answering and adhering to all of those there. And then also, if bear with me here just a moment, we'll click up to it. So if you look up here, APA, this is going to be under your course specific information. And at the bottom there, this is under modules, course specific information, and you're going to have APA sample paper template for students. Please, 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 if you take nothing else away from this, please use this sample template here. So you can click that. It's a Microsoft Word document, and it's going to bring you to essentially a completely formatted APA paper where you really just have to plug and play in that. That's going to help avoid as many of those formatting type errors in APA and hopefully eliminate a lot of those questions for you. So again, I'll have a couple links posted at the bottom of this video to help you as resources for APA. So just as a recap for this paper, it's a 2 to 3 page paper, not including the title page and reference page. So we're looking for about roughly 5 pages in total. So a title page as well as the references page. Remember, the title page is specifically formatted, so I recommend using that template with a certain amount of spaces and centering and all that to keep it in APA format. And then the references page, which again has a very specific format to it. The body of it also is very specific formatting, so you need to have a level 1 header on there, and that will be your initial writing there, and you can have multiple other headers if you need to based off of whatever you are writing. Remember, you also need a minimum of 3 scholarly references. So again, we're not using word of caution against Wikipedia. So you can use Wikipedia initially, but then make sure you're not citing Wikipedia. Actually go to the sources that Wikipedia will point you to and utilize those actual sources, not Wikipedia itself as a source, because that is all crowdsourcing there. And then remember, it is going to be turned in when you turn in the paper. It's going to be formatted through Turnitin, so that's going to kick back a score. And Turnitin is just checking for plagiarism, and it's going to give you a similarity score to other papers that are out there. So if you cut and paste, for example, if you or copy and paste from a website or some other paper word for word, turn it in will typically find stuff like that. So please avoid that unless you're quoting specifically. And then if that's the case, make sure you're quoting specifically and citing that appropriately. And then that will kick out a percentage there for just to show a similarity of that. So again, that's not going to be a problem if you're doing all your own work and citing appropriately. If you have any questions on this week or the writing assignment, like I said, I know for a lot of you this is the first time writing in APA. Please click on some of the links below. Check the formatting guide that's out there, and that'll help get you through the paper this week. And then after you write the paper this week, the rest of them for this class should hopefully be very simple as you're just following the exact same formatting. As always, any questions, please reach out. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you at the end of the week.